Hey ladies, so today we're going to talk about should you be an influencer, a content creator, or a business owner. And I'm going to break down the differences between each, some pros and cons, just to help you ladies when it comes to your purpose, discovering your purpose, having financial freedom. I'm really going to give you the real tea, okay? The real tea so that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into and you can make adjustments accordingly. So, what is an influencer? An influencer, I would consider influencer as someone who influences others. And I know that seems like, well, duh. So there's someone who they have some part of their life that they're showcasing to the general public and they are influencing them in that area. So you have fashion influencers, right? Look at what I'm wearing today. I wear nice clothes. You have beauty influencers. I can do my skin really nicely, do my hair, do my makeup. You have family influencers. Look at my family. This is our life. You have travel influencers. I love to travel. That's a huge part of my life. Here I am, etc. So when it comes to influencing, the pros of influencing, I would say it's a low barrier to entry. Everybody and their mama can be an influencer. Usually influencing, it revolves like a lot of vlogs. Vlogs, content creating, things like staying on trend, doing trending challenges, things of that nature just to stay relevant, right? Usually influencers, they get paid, they can either monetize what they're doing or they get paid by brands. Brands might sponsor them, they get sponsorship deals, and that is influencing. Now, the cons of influencing is that it's extremely fleeting, and I don't think it's the best long-term approach, especially if you want, well, for whatever you want to do. I don't think that influencing is the best long-term approach. I'll also say another con of influencing is it's usually easier, and you see more influencers are above average in looks, so pretty privilege really does work to your advantage if you want to go that route. But if you're someone who's very average looking, if you have a boring life, no one's going to want to watch you, right? You're not influencing much people. If people don't want to be like you, look like you, do what you're doing, then it might be difficult for you to break out as an influencer. Now let's move on to content creating, or a content creator rather. So influencers is more of, they create content to promote their lifestyle, their life, or parts of their life. Content creators create content to point to a specific thing, whether that's a product, whether that is an idea, a topic, a cause, a course, a service, right? So a content creator creates content for something else other than themselves. Now, are they part of that content? Yes, but you don't see as much like vlogs. I just look at my life. Usually when you see a lot of vlogging, that is someone who's an influencer, not necessarily a content creator. Now, a content creator, an influencer can be a content creator, but a content creator is not necessarily an influencer. Hope that makes sense. Pros of content creating is it's becoming easier now to create content and distribute it. The cons, which I'm going to talk about the cons more in a second. The cons is, how do I say this? The cons with being a content creator is you have to, if you don't already have the skills or the natural proclivity, look at me using big words, to, how do I say it, to creating content, to editing, all that jazz, then you probably have a skills issue that you have to overcome. Another con is that just like influencing, content creating is extremely oversaturated, and also opportunity cost. And I'll circle back to the opportunity cost. Let me go into business and then I will give you my final thoughts. Now, for business, a business owner or a business owner, they are people who solve problems for a living. Okay, that's how you can think of it. Entrepreneur, a business owner, someone who solves problems for a living. Now, with a business owner, they have a business. They either have some type of product, service, something, right? That is a solution to a problem that their audience, I feel like I keep repeating myself. So the pros of being a business owner is that you have uncapped wealth. If you want to be a billionaire, you can be a billionaire. If you want to be a millionaire, you can be a millionaire. Maybe if your faith is only, oh, I want to make 6 figures, you can do that as well. It is more likely that you will hit those goals being a business owner versus being an influencer or a content creator. I'm not saying content creators or influencers are, none of them are millionaires. It's just an extremely small portion of them who do make it big, and it's usually not long lasting, because to be an influencer you have to stay on brand all the time, or not on brand, but you have to stay relevant. And with virality being so commonplace, you're here 1 second, you're gone the next second, and if you don't have anything else besides a flash in the pan and you just popped off in one season, then it is going to be extremely difficult to keep replicating that result. So that's the con. Now the con with being a business owner is there is a more higher barrier to entry, and I'm quoting it because it's not difficult to start a business, and it's not difficult, and I'm quoting it, to grow a business to where you want it to be, but it is challenging. And I know you guys are like, girl, what do you mean? You think it's so easy to make $1 million? I think to make $1 million is easier than it is to do rocket science. That's what I'm trying to say by, like, I'm quoting it. You don't necessarily need to be the most intelligent person to be a millionaire. Trust me. You don't need to be the smartest. You don't have to have the highest IQ to be a millionaire, but you do need grit. You do need resilience. You do need patience, long suffering. You have to actually want it and desire it, because if you don't want it, and if you're like, I'm just trying to make a few $100s, well then yeah, that's all you're gonna get. But if you're someone who has faith in what you're doing, and it is a solution to a pressing problem, it's a solution to $1 million issue, then yeah, you're gonna make $1 million if you stick it all the way through. But the issue that most people have with starting a business and growing as a business owner is that they don't want to long suffer. People, especially in this generation, it's very microwave. We just want to get paid quickly. We want results now. We want results today. And the results that you're looking for today, because you're not choosing the path of business, if you're not choosing the path to be a millionaire, and you're choosing just mediocrity, or I just want to make a few $100s, then that is your cap. Don't think that you're going to make more than what you're saying that you want to make, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. So now, summing up in total, why am I making this video? I think this is really important because too many women have mismanaged expectations. And if you're wondering, well, which one should I be? Should I be an influencer? Should I be a content creator? Or should I be a business owner? You have to determine first your primary motivation. Primary, and I'm emphasizing this, and you'll see why in a second. Is your primary motivation for this endeavor, is it fame? Is it a creative outlet? Or is it money? And I know for some of you like, but I want it all. What is the number one driver to why you are starting this endeavor? Because that is going to take you on a completely different path. But you have to be brutally honest with yourself. A lot of women are not brutally honest with themselves because they are fearful of their shadow. They have like faith issues, worthiness issues. So you know what they do is that they pick the path of the least resistance, and then they try to force what they actually desire on that path that was never made for that in the first place. It wasn't made for that. For example, you have a lot of women who sit here and be like, oh, I just want to start a side hustle. I just want to make a few hundred extra dollars on the side a month. That sounds great in theory. In theory, it sounds great. But what women don't realize is that there's no such thing as a side hustle. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. If you're not going to go full-fledged into business and you only want to make a few $100s extra a month, I highly recommend, if your primary motivation is money, and that's your first goal, I want to make a few $100s extra a month, I encourage you, I implore you, in fact, just drive Uber or Lyft or do a part-time job. Why? Because of opportunity costs. Like I was saying earlier, people come into content creating and trying to do this whole whatever, getting on social media, and they spend countless hours. They try to, they get into debt, buying equipment, doing all this stuff just for a few $100s extra a month. And by the time that you actually break even, right, and not even make money, well, let's just say by the time you profit, you pass break even and you profit, you don't realize how much effort it takes to actually produce something. And you just think that people are going to, they're going to pay you just because of what, right? Well, I did this for 1 hour, so you should pay me $100. But what solution did you solve? Like what problem did you solve? If you didn't solve a problem, then how are we going to sit here and demand a certain amount when you have not put in the work? You haven't actually looked into, hey, is there a market for this? Is there an audience for this? So you have not put in the work to actually see that manifest. So don't believe this whole get rich quick scheme, this whole make $1 million in 1 year. That is highly unlikely, especially if you do not have business skills. You need to be the person that makes $1 million to actually make $1 million. No one's not just going to hand it over to you just because you spent some time making content. And like I said, if that is your primary motivation, you're like, I just want to see a return on my investment, on my time and my energy, then I would say drive Uber. Because when you split, because this is what's going to make you frustrated, is because you're trying to pick content creating and not starting a business. You're going to get frustrated along the way because you realize you should have done business, not just content creating. You're working on the front end, you're making content, but that's not actually what's going to get you money in the end of the day, right? So yes, content skills, marketing skills, those are great, but that's not the only leg in a successful business, especially for the amount that you want, right? So this is what I would recommend if you are a young woman who you're just starting, like, okay, well, Jumoke, well, where do I start? I feel like God is pushing me to just start this thing, start talking about this thing. That's great and dandy. I would say let go of the outcome. Detach from the outcome. Don't be focused on making money yet. I would focus on being a content creator, but treating it as a hobby. A lot of people have a hobby, but they're trying to treat it as a business. No, okay? I said a hobby is not a business. If you have a passion for making clothes for rats, that's wonderful. But don't sit here and say, oh, I demand $1 million, when that was not a problem that's not $1 million problem. I would say just show up consistently for a year. For 1 year, commit to 1 year of just posting content, showing up, whatever platform it is. Show up, read books, gain skills, and also ask your audience, engage with your audience to see what is the need, right? People pay you to solve their problem. They don't just pay you because, oh, you went viral one time. Wow, I'm going to give her $1 million. That's how some of you guys are thinking. Or, wow, she made a really good piece of content, but it didn't really help me, so I'm going to just give her a few $100s. Like, it's not charity, okay? Life is, as my dad always said, life is not a bed of roses. So don't just think that people should give you money just because you're God's special snowflake. Put in the work. Read the books. If you want to be a millionaire, read books about millionaires. Look at their stuff, whatever. If you want to start a business, learn how to run a successful business. Keep applying yourself. This is the reason why most new businesses fail, because they have unchecked expectations and they run out of money. Don't run out of money doing a hobby. If, again, you're doing something and you feel like, okay, but I really want to start this thing, I really want to put my talents out there, I think you should do that. You should just manage your expectations. Be consistent, show up, but stop expecting handouts when you have not put in the work to do that thing. And while you are essentially an apprentice in your own business, and maybe one day you want to scale this, that's great. Do the actual work that needs to be done. Read the books. and talk to your audience, see what type of problems need to be solved. And then at the end of 1 year being consistent, then I would say, okay, now create a minimal viable product. Create something, a solution, right, for that problem based on the data that you've gathered, the research you've gathered. Put it out there and test it and see if this is something that people would be willing to buy. But, you know, don't expect to blow up and be a millionaire in 1 year and you don't have the skills to make $1 million. So that's all I have to say. Let me know what you think of this video, this podcast, in the comments. Make sure that you do join our community, join Goal Getter Masterclass so you can learn how to crush your goals, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.